Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Orphanlast, aka Skylar Madison, and today I'm coming at you with another Noblefrugal Studio collaboration video where I paint out its background, and Sebastian, otherwise known as Noblefrugal Studio here on YouTube, he's going to go ahead and grab this final product when I finally have this as finished. He'll go ahead and grab this background and animate a complex scene on top of it using OpenToons. Noblefrugal Studio is one of the only other people on YouTube that I can find that is actually still teaching OpenToons, that still blogs about OpenToons on a regular basis. So his release schedule is something like once a month, whereas my release schedule is once a week. And so if that interests you, feel free to take a look at the video description below where you can find a link to his channel. I do like his teaching style. It is different than mine, but there's, like, seriously, some people learn differently, and where my teaching style may be found lacking, maybe, his teaching style may possibly appeal more to the way that you happen to learn. And same vice versa with my channel as well. It depends on what you're learning at what given time and everything. So I do recommend his channel. He's a good guy. He deserves the best and everything like that. So let's get into the meat and potatoes. So there's a lot of chatter on the internet, which leads me to believe that there's going to be a new official GitHub release of OpenToons, and not just another Marevna edition. Now, I thought that the next Marevna edition that was announced a few weeks ago was going to be OpenToons Marevna edition 1.1.3.1. But evidently that's not the case. Basically it's going to be OpenToons Marevna 1.2, and the GitHub version is going to be just OpenToons 1.2. Now, the reason why I say this to some extent, the leading reason, well, not one of the, I've been suspecting this before Turtletooth mentioned it, but Turtletooth, he just released a new version of OTX, and by the way, I am not going to be showcasing this latest version of OTX because of what basically Turtletooth announced. What he announced was this. He said that everything inside of this most recent release of OTX has everything that OpenToons 1.2 will have. All of the new features, all of the bug fixes, all of that. So if that interests you, feel free to find the latest version of OTX and download it and play around with it. I personally haven't tinkered with it. I kind of have no interest in doing so right now, primarily because I want to actually be genuinely surprised by what's in 1.2 when it gets released. So the thing is that we've been spoiled. We really have. With commercial software, it's not often that you're able to tinker around with experimental features and experimental bug fixes and such like that. But with the open source market, we're able to play around with nightly builds. We're able to play around with OpenToons Marevna and OTX. And so for those of us that have been using OTX and Marevna, it may not feel as though there's been a very big change with 1.2. So I just want to caution you guys with that, because like, go back to GitHub. Go to GitHub and install the version, the official 1.1.3 version, and tinker around with it. And then when OpenToons 1.2 gets released, you're going to be able to, like, you'll really be able to see just how big of a difference this official version is, how drastically different it is. Now, from what I hear, OpenToons 1.2 has some updates to the timeline. People have, like, told me about this or talked about it a little bit. But from what I understand, there's going to actually be a lot more features that are going to be introduced to the timeline later on down the road. Now, inside of my second OpenToons news video, I briefly talked about how they're trying to get some Adobe After Effects functionality, new feature into OpenTunes, where basically it'll kind of dramatically change the way that you interact with a cutout animation. And so I'm pretty sure that you'll still be able to... I don't know if you're able to use a hybrid workflow between the old method of using a cutout animation and the new After Effects sort of features, but I do know that you'll be able to use either or whenever you want, depending on what you're animating. So this has got me excited. As soon as that feature gets released, I'm going to use it a lot. And the new timeline and all the features that are planned for it are going to really kind of revolutionize the way that we interact with cutout animations. So much so that it kind of like the bounty that I'm planning on eventually making, the envelope distortion bounty at some point down the road, it's becoming less of a priority in my mind, because the After Effects features that they're planning on implementing into OpenTunes kind of removes the need to actually do that. I mean, the difference from envelope distortion to the After Effects features that they're planning on implementing into OpenTunes is that envelope distortion is non-destructive editing, whereas it looks like the sort of distortions that you're doing to, say, something like a cutout animation is destructive, like what you kind of sort of see from something like Adobe Flash or Adobe Animate, something like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I've never had a problem with destructive editing, so long as, you know, you're moving forward, and, you know, if you have a client, as long as the client is happy throughout each step of the process and everything like that. So that's awesome. I'm really excited for that, but don't expect the After Effects features to necessarily be in version 1.2. Just be aware that they're working towards that because of the new timeline. And if you guys would like to know who's responsible for that, make sure to give Agni a big thank you, because it's his project. I believe he's doing it with bounties and such like that. And I haven't yet really looked at many of the bounties that Agni has created. I think I need to find a way how to follow him on Bounty Source and GitHub and such, so I can see what sort of activities is going on. The next thing that I'd like to actually talk about has to do with a number of sorts of comments that I keep getting from time to time. People complain about variously different things about OpenTunes, and a lot of times they're still planning on using the program, and then a lot of times also they tell me, well, I'm thinking about going and getting Toon Boom and such like that, and just, you know, animating with that. And that's fine. Whatever frustrations that you guys have with OpenTunes, you are 100% entitled to have whatever frustrations that you happen to have with a piece of software. I personally find that OpenTunes is lacking from time to time. That is the reason why I create bounties, why I do crowdsourcing, and try to get new features added into OpenTunes. Now, I need to point out that everything that I'm doing on my channel, creating bounties, getting features added into OpenTunes and such like that, you can do it. There's nothing, like, I'm not some sort of insider that has some pull that nobody else has. You guys have the exact same amount of pull as I do. Now, the program is 100% free, so and it's open source, so there's a lot of things that are available to you just based off of that alone that are not available to anyone that relies upon commercial software. Okay, so let me go ahead and describe that, what I mean by that. Some of you guys already kind of know this already. Some of you are really familiar with the open source market, and some of you aren't. So I feel the need to really talk about this, okay? There's a lot of times where I purchase a commercial piece of software. And I've had this happen to me so many times that it really grates. It really gets me. It really frustrates me quite a bit. Basically, I buy a commercial piece of software, I learn how to use it, and I find over time that I wish that it had improvements on this or that feature, or that it accommodated this sort of workflow over that sort of workflow. Like take Toon Boom, for example. It primarily favors cutout animation. Well, that's fine. You know, I don't have a problem with that, but the thing is some people may want more of a traditional, hand-drawn sort of workflow, and Toon Boom it can accommodate that to some extent, but it's not where it excels. So you may find yourself hoping that the next version of the commercial software, be it Toon Boom or whatever it happens to be, you may find yourself hoping that the next version will have features that will help you out with your preferred workflow. And then so you wait a year, and then you start hearing that the next version is about to be released. You go onto YouTube and you check out the developers showcasing the newest version of the program, and showing the newest features that are being introduced into the program. And I gotta say, 90% of the time, these newest features that they introduce into the program seem to be completely pointless. I mean, yeah, they're cool, but they never seem to address the sort of workflow that I prefer, or they didn't improve upon their already existing features. They just added new ones. Great, whatever. But, you know, it does get me to think, well, okay, well, am I going to stick with this program and purchase the next version, or am I just going to buy a new piece of software, a different piece of software that accommodates this workflow? So let's suppose I do buy a different piece of software, okay? Now I need to learn a completely new program. I need to start from square one all over again with a new piece of software. And that's frustrating. And then on top of that, it's inevitable that with any piece of software, you're eventually going to find problems with it again. And so you'll wait a year, and you see the new showcases for the next version of the program, and inevitably it winds up being the exact sort of situation. They added a bunch of features that you never thought that you really even needed in the first place, and they didn't really improve upon existing features or improve upon a workflow that better suits your desires. So basically you're left in the exact same situation all over again. Do I stick with this program, or do I move to another one? And that's, like, it sucks being pigeonholed into those sorts of choices. It really does. Why I don't know how the software, the marketplace, when it comes to commercial software, how it has managed to function the way it does, where they can not listen to their customers and just work on whatever the hell they want, and somehow they still get massive sales and such like that. I don't understand that. With the open source market, with something like OpenTunes or whatever it is, you can find whatever piece of software that is competent. And what you're able to do is, where you find that the program is lacking, you can just, make it not lack in that area. And basically, it just seems like, okay, OpenTunes, I'm kind of frustrated with a few of the things that it doesn't accommodate my workflow or whatever. Well, you got the program for free, so rather than paying $2,000 for Toon Boom or whatever it is, and or whatever other program you're going after, why don't you just create something like a bounty? I'm like, as long as I see that you are donating $20 a month towards your own bounty that is promoting your workflow, or a feature that you want inside of OpenTunes where you see OpenTunes is lacking, I will repetitively report on your bounty over and over and over again, and you will see that eventually somebody will also be like-minded, and they might think, hey, yeah, I want that feature, and they'll donate a little bit of money. Now, with my Critter-like Assistant tool, that bounty right there, like the bounty was $700. I spent about $500 on that. And so the donations helped out there quite a bit. A little bit more than $200 was donated from other people. So, like, for less than commercial software, I'm getting a feature that I wanted in OpenTunes. And you wouldn't be able to get that sort of feature, that sort of option with commercial software. Anyways, guys, that pretty much concludes it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you didn't like it, please like, share, and subscribe anyways. And if you guys would like to check out any of my other videos, please click on whatever you see on the screen. Have a good day.